A2000 EST OCOE. They say if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. They said my time's wasted if I ain't chasing them.
Hey, what's up? It's Nanu B back again with yet another stream. I know. I am slightly late. Oh man, hold on. So I literally, I was just about to go and, send the link to this stream into my Discord. I go to move it down to the corner, and it doesn't like go into like the corner view like it should. It ends up just disappearing and hiding behind the taskbar. So I go and quit it. Then I go to turn it on. And of course, installing update 1 of 15. So I'm over here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for this thing to finish updating before I can properly use the Discord. Actually, you know what? Can I use the web client? Let me see if I can use the web client. Hold on. Oh no, it looks like it loaded. It's loading right now. So yeah, I wanted to go ahead and send the link into the Discord so that you guys know the link for the stream. Although I guess one easy way to find the link to the stream is by subscribing. That works too. Or you can just join the Discord. Links in the description below. It's dscrd.ntwb. It's the place you want to be if you want to interact with me and stay up to date with everything going on in the Bread Gang. That's the NanoNewbie streaming community. Hold on, give me a second here. Let's see here. Into some. As well. All right, there we go. I just sent the tap in message into the Discord. I know that very interesting choice of words there to say that the world is basically on fire. It's not literally on fire, but I don't know. I thought that, you know, things have been going crazy enough that it made sense for me to use a title like that on the stream. But yeah, there are a lot of reasons why I decided to bring up the topic of the world being on fire. In part because we do have this story here. This is from Quartz. This is an actual thing that happened. I actually should have queued up the video for this, showing this happening. But the Baltimore Bridge collapsed. I guess it's not a runaway train, it's a runaway cargo ship. It ran into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Now, I need to read this article. I'll be reading this article with you guys. I'm not exactly sure why it crashed. I had thought that it was some sort of mechanical failure that happened to the cargo ship as it was turning that caused this to happen. But I wanted to read this article because I wanted to get a full grasp on how the collapse of this bridge would affect the American supply chain. Because I heard some people saying, oh, it's going to be regional. Heard other people saying, oh, it's going to be national. I'm curious to see what is the effects of this is actually going to be. So the article from Quartz here says the Baltimore Bridge collapse could devastate supply chains and cost billions. About $80 billion worth of cargo moved through the port of Baltimore last year. The port of Baltimore is expected to be closed indefinitely as U.S. federal and state officials in Maryland deal with the aftermath of the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering, like, it can't be stuff going across the bridge that causes the issue, but if the port's going to be closed, then that completely makes sense. So let's see. Is this the video of the whole thing happening? Bro, why is this like a GIF? Where's like the actual video? Okay, hold on. Here's the video. Guess there's no audio. So it's going pretty slowly. Hold on, let's fast forward here. Oh my goodness. Is that fire on the ship as it crashes? Oh. Oh man, that is bad. And they said that like a historic bridge too. Like it's been around for a while. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a historic bridge. That is unfortunate. That's unfortunate. But yeah, it says here, the mass casualty event. Casualty event? Did anyone die? How did anyone die? I didn't hear that anyone died. The mass casualty event is not only a tragedy with rescue efforts still underway, but an infrastructure crisis that's shutting down sea traffic at one of the world's busiest ports. One of the world's busiest ports. Huh. I wonder if this will affect exports too, as well as imports then, if that's the case. The bridge collapsed early Tuesday morning after it was hit by a cargo ship, the Dolly. The vessel was chartered by Maersk and was leaving the port loaded with cargo, but crewed by workers employed by Synergy Group, which confirmed that its 22 employees were uninjured. 6 people performing repairs and other work on the bridge are unaccounted for, according to Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul J. Wiedefeld. Oh, okay. Because I was also hearing that like they were searching for 6 people, so maybe it's those 6 people that they're looking for. The Francis Scott Key Bridge tragedy will impact many supply chains on the East Coast. Patrick Penfield, a professor of supply chain management at Syracuse University, told courts. Over 11 million vehicles use that bridge on a yearly basis, and it's a critical road for the Baltimore transportation network. The Maryland Department of Transportation's Port Administration said Tuesday that vessel traffic in and out of the Port of Baltimore is suspended indefinitely, although trucks are still being processed. Let's see. The Port of Baltimore is an $80 billion link in the global supply chain. The port handled 52.3 million tons of foreign cargo worth $80 billion in 2023. Every month, the traffic through the port is shuttered. More than $6 billion of cargo doesn't pass through. But I mean, I'm sure there are other ports, right? There are other ports that the traffic can just get like rerouted to. The port is a significant participant in the supply chains for the automotive energy industry. More than 847,000 cars and light trucks moved through the port last year. The 13th consecutive year it has led all other U.S. ports for autos. Nissan, Toyota Motor, General Motors, Volvo, Jaguar Land Rover, above and beyond. And the Volkswagen Group used the port for imports and exports. John Lawler, the chief financial officer of Ford Motor Company, told Bloomberg Television that on Monday the automaker would begin rerouting auto parts to other ports of the East Coast. Yeah, you can. I feel like what's the hassle of rerouting ports? Is it like, does it add time? I don't know if it adds time to the travel of an item from one end to the supply chain to the other or not. GM said in a statement it is working to reroute vehicle shipments to different ports and expect a minimal impact on its operations. That wouldn't shock me. Volkswagen expects trucking delays due to rerouted traffic on land, but no maritime issues. The port also creates about 15,300 direct jobs and 139,180 jobs connected to work at the port and generates nearly $3.3 billion in total personal income. This is going to be catastrophic for many reasons, a Baltimore resident told local CBS affiliate WJZ. Amazon is not just on the other side of the river, and you could forget your same day, next day delivery package. The Beltway is going to be a parking lot. The tunnels are going to be jammed. Oh, that does make sense. If you have more road traffic, like where those ports are, as people try to move stuff to like a different port, then I could see how that would cause problems. FedEx, Under Armour, and BMW also have distribution facilities on the north end of the bridge alongside Amazon. Ernie Thrasher, the CEO of Pennsylvania-based X-Coal Energy and Resources, told Bloomberg that the bridge collapse could stop coal shipments out of Baltimore for up to 6 weeks. What? Wait. I gotta follow this link because that doesn't make sense to me. This is from Bloomberg. The bridge collapse could stop coal shipments out of Baltimore for 4 to 6 weeks, which would block the export of up to 2.5 million tons of the commodity, said Ernie Thrasher, Chief Executive Officer of X-Coal Energy and Resources LLC, a Pennsylvania coal trader that works with several suppliers. You'll see some diversion to other ports, but the other ports are pretty busy, so there's a limit to how much you can divert. That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I mean, yeah, I guess I couldn't assume that the other ports would just be empty, waiting for excess business from the Baltimore port. Huh. That would block as much as 2.5 million tons of coal. The city ships about 20 million tons yearly, much of which goes to India. More than 40 ships remained inside the port, according to data from ship tracking and maritime analytics provider Maritime Traffic. At least 30 other vessels had signaled their destination was Baltimore. So you're going to have to reroute ships in real time to go to a different port, and I would assume you'd have to unload all of those 40 ships and get them sent to another port so they can leave. That sucks. That sucks. And these sounds like this is something that's going to have some economic effect. Now, I don't know if that effect is going to be long term or not. The Maersk, which chartered the Dali, said Tuesday it would omit Baltimore from all its services for the foreseeable future until it is deemed safe for passage through this area. Cargo already en route to Baltimore will be discharged in nearby ports and finish their routes through trucks and other land transportation. So it does sound like that this is likely going to have some sort of effect on the supply chain, a major one, in fact. Now, I don't know if it'll affect all goods in the same way that it's going to affect coal, for example. But, I would not be shocked if this, ends up, adding to the cost of things on the ground, in the grocery store and whatnot. So look out for that. But I would also not be shocked if by September, October, all these things are smoothened out and prices go back down to where they are now, because while this is indefinite, that doesn't mean it's going to last forever. So I'm sure that eventually the bridge will be rebuilt or the port will be cleared out so that ships can move through. Either way, I think that they are going to come to a solution to this. This is not going to last forever. But in the meantime, I would say while prices are where they're at now, don't rush and buy tons of things. Do not go out and buy toilet paper. You don't need to go and buy all the toilet paper at the stores that you're at. That you frequent. But I would say there's some sort of non-perishable item that you can get as a backstop. Let's say food gets too expensive and you can't afford it, or let's say that you run out of food because the supply chain is so backed up that you can't go out and buy more food even if you could afford it. Then I would say get some sort of non-perishable items, some canned foods or whatever. Not a crazy amount, but enough that serves as a backstop for, a few weeks, maybe a month or two. It's always good to have that type of thing on hand anyways, because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I hope that this doesn't cause a massive panic, because that would be bad on the supply chain as well. But we'll see. Hopefully we don't get any hopefully this is not a catalyst for something like an economic depression, which I was hoping would not happen, in part because it's not on my 2024 bingo card. But also because I live here and it would suck. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see. We've actually got this video here. This is from Fox News. This is their coverage of the Baltimore bridge collapse. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Here we go. You're not going to believe this. A massive emergency response is underway after this bridge in Baltimore collapsed earlier this morning.
Did you see that? Stunning. The entire span of the Francis Scott Key Bridge came crashing down into the river after a container ship rammed a support beam, as you can see in the left-hand part of the screen.
I don't really like this show. This is Fox and Friends. I find this show cringy, and I'm a conservative.
So firefighters say as many as 20 people are in the water, and it's being described as a mass casualty event, Kaylee.
And we're awaiting a press conference that's expected to begin at 6.
Wait a second. Why is this called a mass casualty event? Because it doesn't sound like a lot of people died. There are 6 people missing. I don't know if they all died. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I've got a more concrete definition. This is from Wikipedia. A mass casualty incident describes incident in which emergency medical services resources such as personnel and equipment are overwhelmed by the number and severity of casualties. So someone has to die for it to be a casualty? For example, the incident where a 2-person crew is responding to a motor vehicle collision with 3 severely injured people could be considered a mass casualty incident. So maybe it's more like people could die. They're not necessarily going to, but they could. But in any case, it's more about the medical response than the actual health of the people. That makes more sense.
6:15 a.m. We'll take you there live when it happens. Now let's go to Griff Jenkins, who's live on the scene. Griff.
Yeah, good morning, guys. And you can't overstate how significant of a collapse this was. We're learning the details from overnight around 1:30 a.m. That's when this Singapore flag cargo ship hit one of the major beams and collapsed that entire span. The video just stunning. And we are learning this is being treated as a mass casualty event. And there are rescue teams in the water. We've got helicopters above. Where we're standing is on the north side of where the Francis Scott Key Bridge was. I'm just going to show you, this is as close as we can get, but if Sanford, you'll just push down this road here, this is where the emergency vehicles have been racing down this road, but the bridge where it existed was just down there. The mass casualty event, the numbers they gave us were 20 people as we watch more of the maintenance crews and folks going down this road trying to get...
No, they said that, I heard that the 20 people were fine, though. Isn't that what the article said that we just read?
To the north side, but this is one of the major shipping areas, if not the major shipping area, the Patapsco River, where the Chesapeake Bay meets the Patapsco River and brings you into Baltimore Harbor. So effectively, not only is traffic and commuters on the major 695 highway here going south to north into Baltimore stopped, but also the shipping lanes. This is one of the major commerce shipping lanes of the country coming into Baltimore Harbor. Those shipping lanes, sea from the Chesapeake Bay, has been effectively halted as you've got this federal and local response happening right now. We're hoping for any update in a press conference here within the hour, but this is an event that has absolutely brought this city and this commerce area to a halt as they try and rescue the people. Now, we're talking to sources here. Just where we're standing is basically the parking lot of the Maryland Transportation Authority that services this major thoroughfare and bridge, and it is very routine on any given night that in the overnight hours, that's when they would do maintenance. So not only could it possibly be the cars that might have been on the bridge at that time, but also some routine maintenance workers that may have been working on that bridge. And obviously the
that was a very good prediction, because it seems like this video was made before the article came out, and the 6 people that they were looking for, they were doing maintenance on the bridge.
That video is a significant one. This bridge is gone, and we do not know ultimately whether the number is larger than 20 of the people that may be in that water. But if you are in the car and you just look at the height, 100+ feet of the fall, it's plunging into very cold water. Even surviving the plunge would be questionable. And on top of that, it's cold out here. And the folks out here, it's in the 30s. That water is in the mid 40s. And so you've got a hypothermia concern right now. And of course, as we look at the helicopters up in the sky, there are 4 helicopters hovering above. Some may be news crews, others the emergency response. They can't see much because the sun is not yet up. But one thing is clear, and that is no traffic by sea or land is coming through this thoroughfare right now as the crews are working as fast as they can to try and rescue people, and the number of people in that water unknown. One thing to put into perspective, as you're waking up and learning this just doesn't happen. Large container ships don't hit major parts of bridges and collapse them like this, because it is a routine every day, 24 hours a day. You've got these shipping containers coming in. They know where to go. It's unclear. A lot of questions of why this ship would have hit that column to bring the span of that bridge down. We're trying to learn more about that as well. But right now, it's all eyes on the rescue mission. Governor Wes Moore of Maryland putting out a statement just within the hour declaring a state of emergency, saying that he's praying for the people and applauding the first responders that are on site.
Yeah, I mean, low-key, to be honest, I hate being pessimistic. I'm more of an optimistic dude, to be honest. But it's not sounding like those 6 people made it out of that situation alive. If they were alive, I would have expected that we would have heard that they'd have been recovered by now. I feel like generally you don't have like dudes floating in the ocean for like 1 to 2 days and then they're just found in perfect health. That's a rarity, in my opinion. So I can see why he's having that grim reaction to what happened here.
Right behind me, some 500 to 1,000 yards down behind me here, trying to save lives and also to trying to bring into perspective exactly what has happened, guys.
That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, so Griff, you set the scene perfectly. There's that live stream video of the port, so we get to see how many cars are on the bridge before the ship inexplicably drives into the support column. And there are, I read, at least 7 cars, and there was at least 1 tractor trailer, but also at the same time, and you mentioned this, routine maintenance going on. Actually, there were 20 guys there apparently pouring concrete, according to the Daily Mail. And to your point, the fall is 180 feet from the top of the roadway at the apex of the bridge into the water. And as a surfer, you know that cold water is important. And I just looked, the National Data Buoy Center shows the water temperature as of an hour ago at 49 degrees and the air temperature at 41. And you're right. Now they got to worry about hypothermia if anybody is still alive in that water.
And, Steve, one thing that's worth pointing out, being from, this area, and, this is, people think, wow, 1:30 in the morning, there must not have been many people there. But there were a lot of people, the construction workers. But also, this is a major shipping area, moving all of our products, from south of Washington up the northeast corridor. This is the main northeast corridor. So not only do you have the shipping containers coming worldwide, delivering many of the products you buy at the stores, grocery store, and other things coming here. You've got the Amazon distribution center as well as several other parts of the Baltimore Harbor here. You have shut down effectively one of the major commerce points in the Northeast, and there would have been a lot of people moving at any given hour of the day along that bridge. And that is why people are starting to realize just how significant of an event this has become.
Yeah.
But going back,
I've been hearing conspiracy theorists being like, "Oh, the timing of this is suspicious." I'm like, what? I don't understand what's so special about the timing. It's like, oh, this just so happens before the Sweet 16 in March Madness. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, people are going to come up with some very interesting theories about this. In general, I don't care. Maybe I'll hear a convincing case on like Timcast IRL at some point about why this is some grand conspiracy. But for all I know, this is a tragic accident. I have another video queued up here where we'll talk about we'll see exactly why the bridge got crashed into by that boat. But for now, let's wrap up the coverage here from Fox News.
What you're talking about in the conditions, it's very, very difficult to survive in these hypothermia conditions, to be in that water. And fortunately, the weather is, as Janice Dean was pointing out in first, pretty calm here. It's not windy. There's no storms right now, but it is a major river, the Patapsco River, that comes into Baltimore Harbor. The Chesapeake Bay is out over here to my right. Baltimore Harbor over here to my left. And all of the currents go in that way. And so you've got dive teams that will be limited with the amount of exposure they can take from the elements, trying to find people, along with the difficulty of navigating this thoroughfare and the damage to the bridge. It wasn't just a piece of the bridge, an entire massive span of that bridge has collapsed here, and that is going to make even navigating just the river area through this passage very difficult. That's why they've effectively halted all shipping traffic, as well as obviously all highway traffic through this area.
Yeah, Griff, before we let you go, I know they keep you kind of far back. We're about to talk about the search and rescue. Have you been able to see anything? Have you been able to see the divers go into the water? Have you been able to see any trucks can you see any vehicles?
We've seen, as you can look down here, I'll give you one more look, Brian. You're looking down. This is as close as we can get, and you can see crews and emergency personnel going down this bridge. But if we were to take this camera and keep walking southbound where that car just went down that road and go down there, you would get to where it collapsed. Now, we have not seen, I can't see the ship. I can't get close enough to the water. This is as far as they would let us go. And we talked our way into here. We're learning that Sun Media is actually being held back from where we are. So we're as close as we can possibly get. But when you go down this road, you would see essentially where that span of bridge has collapsed on the north, closer to the northern side than the south side. And we're on the north side of this right here where we're standing.
Joe.
Brian?
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, go gather some more information, Griff. Great reporting so far this morning.
We got a statement from the shipping container company. We are closely following the investigation conducted by authorities, Synergy, and we will do our utmost to keep our customers informed.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Ryan Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
But yeah, I did not know that there would be casualties. I thought like, oh, it sucks. A bridge has collapsed. But hearing that there are likely casualties in this whole situation certainly does make this news a bit more grim than I thought that it would be going into it. But let's so there's this video, apparently a local outlet. At least an outlet local to.
We are now 8 hours into stunning breaking news out of Baltimore. Around 1:30 this morning,
they had some sort of expert on who explained
of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Apparently, they had an expert on who explained why the bridge collapsed. So I'm interested in hearing why exactly the crash happened.
Baltimore. Within seconds, the sections of the bridge around that pier collapsed into the harbor.
Just unbelievable. Ever since then, first responders have been trying to save people who went into the water, and they expect that search and rescue operation to last for several more hours. The people they're looking for include crews working on the bridge.
This is an active search and rescue mission. We know there were individuals on the bridge at the time of the collapse working on the bridge, contractors for us.
That is Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld speaking there, confirming state workers were on that bridge when the ship hit it, and that's in addition to the vehicles on the bridge at that moment. And joining us right now on the phone is Captain John Conrad. He is a retired merchant marine and runs the website G Captain. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, we wish it was a better day, but we got to ask, when you look at that video of the ship, what do you see?
Well, you see as the ship is coming towards the bridge, it's going relatively fast. It's going about 8 knots, and you see large amounts of smoke coming out of the smokestack. So question is, the engine seems to be working hard. We don't know exactly why it was working hard. Potentially the ship was put in reverse to try to slow it and get a new course. But the engine was working hard, and then we saw a blackout. All the lights on the ship went out, and it looks like the emergency generator kicked in. The lights reemerged, but the emergency generator cannot slow the ship down. All it can do is restore the emergency fire pumps and lighting. So that is, the ship continued to lose course, and the bow was pushed by the wind down into that column, and unfortunately it hit. We also saw there were no tugboats around. Usually,
well, it's nice. It looks like the boat itself didn't sink or anything. So hopefully that means there were no casualties for many of the personnel on the boat. I think that's what the article I read said. But also minimal loss to the cargo on board as well. But unfortunately, whatever's on there, I would not be shocked if it's stuck there for a while.
The Port of Baltimore allows the ships to get rid of the tugs before it gets near the bridge, but the ship likely did have a pilot still on board.
Oh. So it sounds like there were a few steps taken before the generator kicked in. At what point do you make that distress call, and what can cause a ship to lose power?
Well, the most common cause of losing power is a crash astern. So if you did an emergency astern, I don't know that is what happens here, but when a ship comes into port, so when it's coming in from overseas, before it enters the port, it has to do a crash astern test. They make them do that because it is a frequent cause of blackout. So they want to make sure that the ship does not black out when it goes full astern. It's also an older ship. These are minimally crewed ships. The ship likely has less than 25 people on board, and they're highly complicated. So any mechanical issue, electrical issue in the ship's engine room could cause a blackout.
And speaking off camera, you mentioned a bow thruster. What is that, and how could it play a role in an incident like this?
Right. So on the bow of the ship, you'll see if you look at pictures, a circle with an X through it. That's a symbol, meaning there's a bow thruster underneath, and the tugs don't want to press against that area. So there's a little propeller that goes sideways, and that propeller just moves the bow left and right. It's a small, much smaller engine than the main propeller, which is on the stern, and that can help. If the wind pushes the bow off course, as it looks like happened now, that can push the bow back, under the bridge. Problem is, those bow thrusters are recessed. So as the ship picks up speed, the bow thruster becomes less effective. Usually when a ship is going more than 5 knots, that bow thruster does not work properly. So that could be another reason that they, did went full astern to slow down to restore that bow thruster. But we don't know that for sure. It's just an educated guess at this point.
And I have to ask you, what role do tugboats play in all of this?
Right, so a tugboat is the best thing to have when you lose engine, and they're required for close-in maneuvering. So as the ship gets, when it's coming in from overseas and it gets under the bridge and comes close to port, you have to have a pilot on board, and that pilot orders tugs based on the maneuverability and of the ship. And those tugs can push the ship sideways, it can push the heading, and it can also slow down the ship if it's going too fast. But Baltimore and the U.S. Coast Guard, captain of the port, so the Coast Guard captain of the port is in charge of all the port facilities and that. The military person in charge of the entire area. They do not require a tugboat under the bridge. If there was a tugboat there, a tugboat off the stern, usually F2, that could have slowed the ship down, and a tugboat connected near the bow could have pulled that heading away from the column. But tugboats are not required at this bridge point.
Captain Conrad, you know, people are going to be listening to your educated opinion and all
I wonder if one target of this, because whenever there's a tragedy, legislators love coming up with legislation. I wonder if one thing that legislators are going to target is they're going to be like, oh, well, we need to require tugboats to be on like the front of the back of all boats or of this size or something like that. Wouldn't shock me.
Of this and what happened here. And the obvious question's got to be, why wasn't the bridge shut down if this vessel was in distress?
It was, things are happening really quickly. It seems like it was slow, but this all happened in under 5 minutes. And there's these ships are very minimally manned. You have an all-foreign crew. They're required to speak English, but how well they speak English is not always known. And you have one local pilot. So you have a captain like me who's an expert in the Port of Baltimore, and he's managing everything. He's trying to talk to the engine room, trying to get tugboats, trying to call Mayday with the Coast Guard. And it's a lot for a very minimally manned ship. And these ships don't have very much automation. So there's been resistance towards using AI to help the pilot and help the ship navigate. It's really operated on old school VHF radio.
I mean, I don't think you'd want AI involved in a scenario like this. I think you would just want more people. That'd be like the easiest solution. But also, this is an old vessel, as this guy has said. So, even if they were utilizing AI for boats, I would highly doubt that they would be using AI on a boat of this type or of this magnitude. You know what I mean?
So unless that bridge is manned and it's not a drawbridge, and someone on the bridge is monitoring that radio and then can quickly put up the signs, in under 5 minutes, it's just not going to happen. If it had been a drawbridge, it's possible they might have got it shut down, but things were just happening too fast to shut down the bridge in this case.
That is Captain John Conrad. Captain Conrad.
Yo, I can't wait for them to rebuild this bridge and for it to cost $500 billion and take 12 years to complete.
Thank you so much for joining us for a few minutes here and sharing your insight and knowledge with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, there was this situation over here in Moscow where there was a terror attack. This is probably one of the most deadly terror attacks that I can recall. Didn't happen on American soil, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. But 137 people did die, so it is a very grave situation. Not sure exactly how this went down, what was behind the attack, but I'm sure the BBC News, with their impeccable... You know what? I should probably go somewhere else because BBC News has been screwing things up pretty badly, especially with their coverage of Israel and Palestine and stuff. They've been dropping the ball. Let me see if there's someone else who has a better. Let's see. Is there a better video? Let's do PBS NewsHour.
In the day's other headlines, Russian officials raised the death toll to 139 in the Friday night terror attack outside Moscow. Today, the Kremlin talked of vengeance as investigators worked the scene. Stephanie Tsai reports.
Crocus City Hall is a charred shell of debris and devastation. Rescue workers search for bodies buried in its ruins. Days after attackers armed with rifles and knives lay waste to a rock concert. It was the deadliest terror attack in Russia in decades. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin said radical Islamists were behind the massacre, but he also continued to implicate Ukraine without evidence.
We know that the crime was committed by the hands of radical Islamists, whose ideology the Islamic world itself has been fighting for centuries. We are interested in who ordered it.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky denounced the suggestion. 4 main suspects appeared in a Russian court and appear to have been beaten. They're all of Tajik descent. The Islamic State's Afghan branch, ISIS-K, posted this video claiming responsibility for the attack, a claim verified by the U.S., which had shared intelligence with Moscow ahead of time.
Yes.
For some time.
This is one thing I've been hearing. People will be like, "Oh, America knew about this ahead of time," as if that signaled some sort of like conspiracy or something. The impression that I get from international intelligence is that there are signals and rumors all the time of, "Oh, something could happen here." You don't always know if that attack that you suspect is going to happen actually will happen. People can change their mind and decide not to do the attack. People can change their plans. Also, it's not America's job to keep Moscow from being attacked, right? So if America says, "Hey, look, there's going to be a terror attack that's going to happen, deal with it, Moscow." If Russia doesn't deal with it, then it's not America's fault. It's Russia's fault. So any implication that like America was behind the attack in some way is ludicrous, I would say, without any further evidence than, "Oh, we knew about it beforehand." Like, knowing about attacks like this beforehand is what American intelligence is supposed to do. It's literally their job.
U.S. had given warnings a few weeks ago that this attack could take place.
Paul Colby is a former operations officer for the CIA with a focus on Eastern Europe and counterterrorism. ISIS has attacked Russia a number of times over the years and has recently begun recruiting heavily from Central Asia, including Tajikistan.
Tajik workers are in Moscow, so they provide both a willing and attractive recruitment pool for ISIS-K because they have access to Russia, because they can be radicalized, and because they can be bought relatively cheaply.
The deadly attack has shaken Russia days after President Putin, fresh from securing a 5th term, promised stability. For the PBS NewsHour,
dude.
I'm Stephanie Sy.
I mean, I to be honest, like in a democratic society, that would, probably hamper one's potential for re-election or whatever, or like your political ambitions. But this is Russia. Let's not pretend that they have any real semblance of democracy there.
The attack in Moscow has done nothing to slow Russia's renewed bombardment of Ukraine's capital. Today, missiles were fired at Kyiv for the...
Bro, man, well, that's a sharp left turn if I've ever seen one. Why are we bringing up Ukraine? Hold on, wait. Is the rest of this video going to be about Ukraine? Why are they bringing Ukraine into this?
Third time in 5 days. After some of the weapons were intercepted, debris fell on homes, injuring 9 people.
North Korea.
Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has offered to meet with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. It would be these two nations' first summit in nearly...
They're padding the numbers here. Let's see what this is about, though. That's rough. And like, bro, what are gun rights in Russia like right now? Like, are citizens allowed to run around and have guns? Well, let me see. Gun rights in Russia. Because there are mass shootings in America. I can remember the last time like 130 some odd people got killed in a mass shooting. I'm seeing generally vaguely that Russia's more restrictive with gun rights than America. Not sure to what extent. Of course, I'm not going to be able to have a concrete figure just from a quick Google search. But yeah, they're kind of restrictive. So when did you come from Turkey? March 4th? Yes. What did you do in Turkey? I'm finishing my studies there. All perpetrators, organizers of this crime will suffer inevitable punishment, whoever they are, whoever guides them. I repeat, we will identify and punish everyone who stands behind the terrorists, who prepared this atrocity, this attack on Russia, on our people. I was surprised to hear that ISIS had claimed like responsibility for this, because I thought ISIS was like dead, but I guess Trump is gone, so ISIS is back. Basically, most of this stuff in the video we've already seen, so we don't need to go through it again. But that's just a terrible, terrible situation. I think the one bit of good news is that they captured the terrorists, so hopefully they punish them to the fullest extent of the law. Because yeah, you can't just let terrorists get an easy pass after just running around and killing like 140 civilians. So yeah, hopefully they get like the, I don't know, life in prison, death penalty or something. Something to that effect. Let's see. So we have one of the, I guess, most expected but heartbreaking breakups in the entire political, content creation sphere. And no, I'm not talking about Destiny and Melina. I'm talking about the Daily Wire and Candace Owens. They have decided to break up. As Jeremy Boring announces, the Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship. Now, what exactly caused this this breakup of theirs? What was their tiff? Why couldn't they work things out? Why couldn't they fight for the relationship? Well, Candace Owens, on her appearance on The Breakfast Club, which I think incidentally occurred like a day or two before she got fired, here she tries to explain kind of like the rift between her and the Daily Wire and why things have been so tense between them lately. If you guys don't remember, Candace Owens is, she's been critical of Israel. That criticism of Israel had led Ben Shapiro to, during a Q&A at a public event, say that Candace Owens' conduct had been shameful or whatever, and then go on talking down about the way that she was carrying herself, as well as the stances that she was taking. And to be fair, I would criticize the way that Candace Owens has carried herself too on many occasions, but generally speaking, like her positions when it comes to Israel don't seem to be that wild from what little I've seen. Now, I'm no Candace Owens fan, right? So don't necessarily take my word for it, but Israel, for as much as I can understand it, they have committed war crimes in their fight against Hamas. So while they certainly should continue to fight Hamas, I agree with Trump, right, that that the IDF needs to hurry up with the war, wrap things up, and go on and get their peace. That doesn't mean that you, for example, use white phosphorus, right, on civilians. It doesn't mean that you starve civilians either. Now, to be fair, they did lift up that siege, but things like that, I think, are where, humanitarian rights or human rights violations kind of like come into play there. Now, certainly not to downplay what Hamas did, which, to be fair, Hamas has done far worse, violations of international law, and things of that nature. But at the same time, you can't just ignore what Israel's doing, right? Even if you're going to say, yeah, woo, IDF, go get them bad boys, which is what I think we all should be doing. But anyways, here's Candace Owens' take on the whole situation. I'm kind of blathering on here.
I love the way that you and Ben Shapiro are able to disagree, but then I guess still have a business relationship, because I saw him recently tell you, I think it was maybe a few months ago, he told you to quit over your Israel coverage, your Palestine Israel coverage.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Well, he told me, the tweet that he responded to was actually just some biblical passages. Mm-hmm. And he thought that it was me saying that I had to choose money over I don't know how we interpret it, but it was definitely not. I just meant it as peace, calling for peace, because there was a video circulating of him calling me a disgrace and a faux professional or whatever it was. And I decided.
I think I remember this. Because I did listen to this. I think that this is one of the few disingenuous sections of this interview, because Candace Owens was basically saying, she was like, oh, she was just calling for peace or whatever. That's not really what she was doing. She had responded with the quote, I think, saying you can't serve both God and man or whatever, to Ben Shapiro, kind of like criticizing her for her takes. And I think what Candace Owens was basically saying with that response in reality was, you're not going to get me to bow to you if that means that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, or if I'm not standing for what I think is right. So she's like, hey, you know, if there is a divide between me following God and saying the truth about, or at least what I think is the truth about the situation in Israel, versus following the money and doing whatever you tell me I should do, I'm going to follow God. You know, that sentiment certainly makes sense. And I think any content creator, especially one who claims to be a Christian, should be following that to the letter, to the best of their ability. But I think it was kind of a personal dig as well. I think that she probably should have used her own words instead of trying to quote scripture passages and be all pithy.
You choose peace, and then when I chose peace, he responded to peace with not peace.
Why wouldn't he just fire you?
Well, as I explained on Tucker Carlson's show, like, Ben doesn't have the power to fire me.
I mean, that is true. Jeremy Boring has the power to fire her, which it appears that he might have done.
And it's not even saying that we disagree on Israel and Palestine. I just think that he's obviously, his wife is Israeli. Mm-hmm. He spends a lot of time in Israel throughout the year. I think when you have an emotional attachment to some place, that sometimes your reaction to anything is going to be more extreme to it. You know, I have some relatives that are from St. Thomas. If what was happening in that region was happening in St. Thomas, I would probably be the most fired up out of everybody at the Daily Wire.
Right, like when the whole situation with Moscow happened, I'm like, that sucks. But I'm not like glued to the television because that did not happen in America. If it happened in America, I would be like listening to the mainstream media coverage like throughout the entire day while I'm at work. But that's not what I did.
And yeah, he definitely went through, I think, an emotional time at the end of last year, you know, dealing with everything. I think I was pretty even keel. I don't want to see innocent Palestinians killed. I don't want to see innocent Israelis killed.
Yeah, I will say, like, level-headed is not the word I would typically use to describe Candace Owens. She did appear to be, at least to some degree, level-headed with the whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So I have to give her props for that. Because, you know, to her point, she is right. Ben Shapiro did come off as extremely emotional, especially in the immediate advent of the October 7th attack. So I think that in hindsight, all the content creators involved should be taking a step back and be like, okay, when there's a big tragedy, how do I respond to this in a way that's measured? And I still stand on business, right? I still back my principles, but I don't end up looking kind of hysterical when I do so. You know what I mean?
I never want to see children killed. Mm-hmm. I don't believe children should have to grow up in a war zone based on the actions of a few. And that, I guess, last year sounded crazy. It sounded crazy because always the demand in all these situations is to make people pick a side. And then if you don't pick their side, then you get smeared and you get libeled, right? So if you don't say, I want every Palestinian murdered, then suddenly you're pro-Hamas. If you don't say, like, I want
to be fair, I think that she is misrepresenting the position of the Zionists writ large. I don't know how far right Ben Shapiro and the others were on this issue because I don't really listen to the Daily Wire. It feels just very like conservative ink for me, like to me. But the majority of Zionists don't really want to see all Palestinians killed. They just want the Israelis to stop being killed, like the citizens stop being killed. So like no more terror attacks from Hamas, you know, things of that nature. That's their primary goal. So to say like, oh, what you want me to say, like kill all the Palestinians is a little bit ridiculous. To be fair, not entirely unexpected, right? This is Candace Owens that we're talking about here. Right? I just wanted to set the record straight because I think that she is misrepresenting the Zionist position to some degree here.
Every Israeli person eradicated, you know, then suddenly you're pro-apartheid, whatever the arguments are. And I think both of that is extreme.
You said no government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever. There's no justification for genocide.
Yeah. that is going to age so well.
It's true.
Genocide is always wrong. It is, guys. It is always wrong. And doesn't matter at any point in human history.
I wonder if she's embracing the conspiracy theory that Israel is participating in genocide at the moment, or not, because that's certainly a claim to make, right? Considering the extremely limited, if existent at all, evidence kind of pointing in that direction. So that's kind of an out there thing to say. Not that Candace Owens is beyond making, I guess, bombastic or dramatic statements, right? But interesting.
Any person that is advocating for genocide is always in the wrong. And when I wrote that tweet, I was referring to Brian Mast, who was a congressman. He got up and he literally said in Congress that there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian.
That's a far right talking point I've heard from like the Israeli camp. So I mean, yeah, that is a statement that resonates with some Zionists, but not the majority of them, I'd argue. And they're more Zionists than you would think, right? I think when people hear the word Zionists, they expect some dude who's just like an ultra nationalist on the behalf of the state of Israel. But really, it just means that like you believe that Israel has the right to exist in some capacity. Even among Zionists, there's disagreements as to what land Israel should have right to, for example, or to what extent that they can, when it comes to force, that they can use to retaliate against the people who have attacked them. So, the idea that like Zionism is like this small niche of people who are, racists and hate Muslims and hate Palestinians is a little bit silly. It's actually, I think, the majority of Americans, which is why the majority of Americans in Congress all support Israel as well.
And I was like, that is genocidal, right? As soon as you say an entire group of people are all evil, you are now laying the groundwork to justify a genocide. And that, to me, was wild. So I spoke up against it.
Have you been like?
So, by the way, the argument that was used for statements like that, at least from what I heard, basically was that the Palestinians in Gaza, they voted for Hamas, and Hamas is doing all these things. So it's Hamas's fault that they're doing these things, but who Hamas wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the civilians. The problem with that line of logic, and I need to do my research, okay? Clarification, I need to do my research. And I do have a mega document that I'm very, very, very slowly working on that is like supposed to be like a comprehensive catalog of all of the events that have happened in the formation of the formal state of Israel. But as I understand it, Gaza, they were set to do elections. Hamas showed up and they basically coerced people and forced them into voting for them. And then once they were elected into power, they never had another election again. So first of all, many of the people who initially voted for Hamas were likely coerced in doing so. They did not do so willingly. And second of all, many of the people who are like adults in Palestine now probably never even voted for Hamas because that happened so long ago. So those are two important factors when it comes to, there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian, because that's kind of where that claim is coming from. And that's also the problem with that claim.
Ball from Fox News?
No, I just stopped going on Fox. I used to, my schedule is very busy, but I used to go only once a week on the Tucker Carlson show, and then Tucker left Fox News. So I just didn't go on Fox News.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not all that happened to that situation, because Andrew Klavan lashed back out. No, he didn't. I don't think he lashed out. I have not seen this yet. I did hear that he responded to Candace Owens, not to Candace Owens specifically, but to the entire situation. So here is what Andrew Klavan had to say in response to this. I believe he's the only member of the Daily Wire who has said anything in response to this. I'm not expecting Brett Cooper to comment on this. She's the only Daily Wire person to actually watch. Wouldn't be shocked to see Michael Knowles respond. I don't think Crane & Company is going to say much about it, but let's see what Andrew Klavan had to say about this whole situation.
So, listen, I had my show all written out and all planned, and then Jeremy, the God King of the Daily Wire, announced that the Daily Wire and Candace Owens have parted ways, and you will want to know Did I know this was coming? Yes, I did. And I knew it had come and hadn't been announced, but I didn't realize it was going to be announced moments before I came on the air. Someone posted on X, Candace Owens is gone, so now Andrew Klavan is the only black woman at the Daily Wire, and that's obviously true. So I feel a certain responsibility to talk about this. There's going to be an absolute crap storm, obviously, coming out of this, and we're already getting. Well, I looked on Twitter or X just before I came on, and every single thing that was trending was us. It was like Jeremy, it was the Daily Wire, it was Candace, it was all just going on, and that's going to continue for a while. And so what I'm going to do, because I just don't feel right just leaving it there and not saying what I think and where I stand, so you know, because that's what we're here to do. I think I'm just going to talk about it from every angle, because it has a lot of different angles that I want to talk about. And I don't know whether that's going to take me 10 minutes or it's going to take me the whole show. It's probably going to take me longer than I think.
Yeah, I've got the timestamps. This takes about like 11 minutes.
And so we'll interrupt it with commercials if you're not a subscriber, which you should be. But I'm just going to say everything I have to say. And because you listen to the show and you know me, you know I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, that no one can come in here and tell me what to think. Obviously, I'm not going to violate any confidences or anything like that, but I'm going to tell you what my impression about this. I can only give you my take, and I can only, whenever anybody says to you, oh, he said this because of that, or they told him to do this or that, this is simply not true. I can guarantee you 100% that that's not true. So first, let me give you my personal point of view about this in terms of the people involved. I want to say that I am extremely proud of Jeremy, our God King. And people always say he calls himself that, but I called him that. I made it up to tease him and to keep him steady and down to earth, but also to remind people that he, behind the scenes, had built this wonderful thing, which he, at that point, when I gave him that name, nobody knew about. And I've seen him go through a lot of stuff in the sense that when he started, he really didn't have much of a resume, and now he has built this incredible business, and he has managed to be no more annoying than he was at the beginning. He continues to be just as annoying as he ever was. And most of the crap storm
I don't know. I mean, didn't he handle himself pretty poorly with the whole Stop Big Con situation? Where, didn't he, lie about, Steven Crowder or something? So, to hear someone be like, oh, I'm proud of how Jeremy Boring has conducted himself is just comes off as a bit odd to me.
It's going to fall on him, and the responsibility for the company is on him, and the responsibility for doing this is on him. And he did, as I will explain to you why I think this, he did what was right and what had to be done and what was definitely coming. No. And maybe some people...
No. This is not the way that this should have been handled at all. I think this was this is an awful way to handle the drama, especially because, look, if you are running a content creation company, an organization, and I don't understand why not a single major content creation organization I have seen that handles punditry and commentary. I feel like no one understands this. The cable news media doesn't understand this. Companies like the Daily Wire doesn't understand this. The Blaze doesn't understand this. What is it? I don't even think Steven Crowder's new group understands this. Neither does Rumble, from what I understand. I think the closest thing that we get to a company that understands this is actually Kick.com. But you have to understand that in order to have the widest reach as a company, you can't just cater to a single audience. Like one thing I would love to do in the future, I have a gazillion ideas of things I would love to do in the future. But one of those things I would love to do in the future is run some sort of content creation organization, to keep things generally vague. And one of the things I would do is I would have not only right-wing commentators, but I would have left-wing commentators. And I would have people talk about not just politics, but talk about other things. And I've seen the Daily Wire slowly but surely kind of branch out to other types of commentary. Like Brett Cooper talks about things that are trending on Twitter /X or whatever, or TikTok, or maybe even YouTube in some degrees. There's Creighton Company, which is kind of talking about sports, but they talk about politics way too much on that show still. But How come there's no left-wing Daily Wire program? Well, because the whole point of it is pushing a certain narrative. So, of course, they're not going to make a left-wing program. How come, there's no left-wing program on The Blaze? Well, and the point of The Blaze is to be a bastion for conservatism. So they're not going to push any left-wing programming. Why doesn't Rumble get any sort of left-wing program? Well, I think for them, it's more about like there's no market gap really, because left-wing hosts can just like be on YouTube and continue to fail because left-wing content creation doesn't really succeed usually on the internet. So like these companies need to understand that you can't just cater to a very narrow audience. I think actually, you know what? Let's give props to News Nation, right? Let's give props to News Nation because they have Leland Vittert and Chris Cuomo back to back. A left winger who used to work for CNN and a right winger who used to work for Fox News back to back in their opinion section. So you know what? Let's give credit to where credit is due. News Nation does have some balance in their commentary. And also I think C-SPAN is relatively balanced as well, but that's not really content creation or punditry. That's mostly just either repeating what is being said from podiums or repeating the opinions of people who call in. Is basically the point of C-SPAN. So the Daily Wire, I think, has made a fatal mistake by saying that you must be a staunch Zionist. You must be a staunch Zionist. You refuse to criticize Israel or not talk about the entire situation at all if you want to work at the Daily Wire. That's a terrible precedent to set. Did Candace Owens behave unprofessionally in some of her conduct throughout this feud? Absolutely. But I think that Ben Shapiro handled himself worse. And I don't think any of them handled themselves in ways that are so bad that as a runner of a company, I could not pull that person aside and be like, hey, you can come back from this. Just clean up your act a little bit, be a little bit more civil, and you can continue working here. I don't think that there was anything that was like too far. I don't think anyone crossed the line necessarily to a point where I would have to say, like, you can't work here anymore. I don't think any of those lines were crossed. So there's no need to fire Candace Owens unless it's for her opinion. And if you're firing her for your opinion, then you have to accept the fact that the Daily Wire is there specifically to push a specific narrative. And if you don't fall within those narrow parameters, then you're out. And I think it's just an awful way to run a business. You could. It's great to even have right and left wing hosts because like you can attract people on the front of the left wing and the right wing, theoretically, and you can just get more viewers that way. And even from a very smaller scale, you can get in more conservatives if you allow someone like Candace Owens to be on the Daily Wire. Because there are many conservatives who do not want to be full-throated supporters of Israel. Many people who are acknowledging the fact that Israel has committed war crimes during this war against Hamas, as justified as that war may be. So, it's a little bit silly to be like, oh, we can't associate with anyone who criticizes Israel at all. Like, because at that point you kind of make yourself come off as like some sort of cult, right? Where that's the thing with cults. Like you cannot criticize the person in charge, right? You can't criticize the doctrine. You cannot think for yourself. That sort of seems to be the same types of culture that they're fostering here at the Daily Wire, and I think that's a shame considering that the Daily Wire is I think clearly one of the biggest conservative content creation groups. Now, are they the most popular? I think that is to be disputed, but at the same time their size matters when they're so big that they're starting to get their podcasts aired on the radio like their talk radio programs at this point. So I really don't understand this take here, but maybe Andrew Klavan is going to explain himself in the next paragraph or so.
People felt he should have done it sooner. I know some people felt he should have done it sooner, but they're not watching what happens. It's this is a business. Things move slowly. All kinds of obligations are in play. He did it.
Who was saying that she should have been fired sooner? I think many people were thinking that she might have been fired sooner. Especially with the general perception that, like, because Ben Shapiro basically serves as a front man for the Daily Wire, that someone would have to fall in line with his ideology in order to work there. But no one, I don't know if anyone was saying, "Yo, you need to fire Candace Owens."
When he felt it was
like
right.
Low key, I think the internet's basically clowning on the Daily Wire for firing Candace Owens, right? Although they're also kind of clowning on Candace Owens for thinking that she could work for a corporation and still be able to speak her mind.
And I have to say that I personally felt a weight taken off my shoulders, and I'm grateful to him, not just for doing this, but for being the person he has become over the course of what is a tremendous success. And like I said, I'm really proud of him. I'm grateful to him because I feel a personal weight taken off my shoulders that this has happened. And
How? It was like, oh, now I don't have to deal with the burden of working for the same company as Candace Owens. Like, what? Is this like Andrew Klavan or is this Anna Kasparian? Like,
and that is not a hit on Candace, a personal hit on Candace, which I will also talk about in a minute. But let me just say first that I know the big hit, the thing that is going to come from the right, the people who think that the attack we're going to get from the right, because who cares what attack we get from the left? They kill babies. We don't care what they think. But the big hit we're going to get from the right is free speech. And I want to explain this. I'm a big free speech advocate.
The free speech angle is kind of stupid because no company is required to host or sponsor someone no matter what they say. What about Don Lemon, right? Was the right complaining about X axing Don Lemon's program when Elon Musk basically threw a fit because he didn't like the questions that Don Lemon was asking him and said, you know what, we're not going to have you on X after all. At least we're not going to pay you to be here. Who was writing to complain about free speech? No one. Elon Musk actually has shown himself to repeatedly be an anti-free speech person, right? He's censored Discord moderators, right? I think he's banned the official map flag from X. So he's not a free speech dude, right? He's not a free speech dude. And so I think it's funny. Like, I don't know how much discourse there's been saying, oh, this is anti-free speech. But it would be funny if people are complaining about this because of free speech while using X and lauding Elon Musk for Twitter 2.0.
Used to say there was a free speech purist, but that would be silly. Nobody's a free speech purist, but I'm a very, very strong supporter, not just of the First Amendment, but of the point of view that goes on behind the First Amendment. And this idea that we have canceled somebody for what they say is...
Which you have, by the way. You have.
It's absurd on the face of it, and I will explain
why is it absurd? Please tell me.
I can come in here and express any opinion I want. No one will ever tell me, don't say this, don't say
That's because the opinions that you want to express are in line with Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro's. But go ahead.
Say that or say this or say that. It just doesn't happen. But if I woke up one morning and I thought to myself, you know what? I've been saying abortion is bad, but really it's great. It is great. There's nothing I like better than sucking the brains out of children. In fact, we shouldn't just, do it while they're in the womb. We should just do it all wait till they're 1 or 2 when it's more fun because you can hear them screaming. If that suddenly became my opinion, I couldn't bring it in here.
Exactly. You literally said, oh, I can say whatever opinion I want, unless it's a bad opinion. Like what? Like what? You've literally contradicted yourself in your own video.
Because the Daily Wire is not a phone company where anybody can talk. It's not a social media company that I think should let everybody express an opinion. Mm-hmm. It's essentially an online magazine. It is a journal that stands for something.
Yes, but at the same time, you can't lie about whether or not the Daily Wire would censor your opinions because, if you decide to be pro-choice and they don't let you air that opinion on there, then yeah, like that is censoring you for your opinion. Now, let's say that you were like using the F-bomb while you were on the air, or you were calling other people names that were extremely crass, rude, and harsh, and you were banned for that. Now, that's not getting banned for free speech necessarily, or at least for your opinion. because it's for how you were saying what you were saying, not that you were saying what you were saying. But this dude over here does like this, like he did 280s in a row. He said like they won't ban me for my opinion unless it's a form of abortion. Like that alone kind of makes me think that the opinion is the primary reason, like the opinion that Israel has done bad things sometimes is literally why Candace Owens got removed from the Daily Wire.
And one of the things that it doesn't stand for is abortion. And I don't think anyone should come in here. I would quit. I would have to leave. I would have to go in and say, guys, you know, I've seen the light. Killing kids is great, and I can't do that anymore. So I would have to come in and say, as an honorable person, I'm going to remove this. That's something that we can't abide.
That's insane. You want to make change, right? As a conservative pundit, if the Daily Wire today started saying, you know what, we actually support killing babies, why not, as the revolutionary, thought-provoking conservative commentator that you are, be like, okay, well, you know what, I'm gonna stand on business. I'm gonna continue championing the lives of the unborn, and you know what, you can't stop me. If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to fire me. But until then, I'm going to speak truth to power. I'm going to be, in fact, every single show is going to be about how murdering babies is bad. Every time that we have the Daily Wire backstage live stream things, I'm going to be pointing fingers at every single one of you for supporting the murdering wholesale of fetuses. I think that would be the more appropriate response. That'd be like, oh, well, you guys have an opinion I don't like. I'm going to have to leave. See you later, suckers. Like, that's not the way to handle a disagreement of this scale, especially when you're a pundit who is purporting to want to make social change.
At the Daily Wire, because it's not what we.
Oh, also, I see Merely here in the chat saying, what's going on? Hello, I've arrived. Nice to see you in the chat here. We are talking about Candace Owens getting fired from the Daily Wire, ostensibly. It's not entirely clear as to whether or not Candace was fired or whether or not she left, but I suspect that she was fired. This is what we're covering. This is what we're talking about.
Stand for. And the same is true of race hatred. And I said this one.
Now I know. Yo, wait a second. Is Andrew Klavan seriously? Hold on, wait. Is Andrew Klavan seriously going to accuse Candace Owens of racism? Because I thought that I was not expecting that he would debase himself to this level. This is shocking.
Once on member block, so a lot of you probably didn't hear it. My problem with race hatred is that it's bad thinking. And the way you know it's bad thinking, I mean, my problem with race hatred is religious. I think it's wrong. But the way you know it's wrong and you know it's bad thinking is it works no matter who you hate. If you figure out that the Jews are to blame for everything, or like the New York Times, you figure out that the whites are to blame for everything. You say it's the blacks, they're ruining everything. It always works. It always makes absolute sense out of everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can read racism into everything.
It doesn't make sense. It is filling in a lot of nuanced, difficult, detailed things that you have to think about, and it's just spreading this kind of smear of hate over it. And so it always puts things into perspective. Now, having said all this, I don't know what's in Candace Owens' mind.
Oh yeah, he's gonna say, I don't know if he's a racist or I don't know if she's a racist or not. I'm just going to just float that idea out there. And tell me, audience, what do you think of this?
My relationship with Candace has been nothing but collegial and friendly. I would bump into her. I don't know her well, but I would bump into her in hair and makeup. We always greeted each other with pleasantness and friendliness. We always had pleasant little chats. I would see her backstage. I never felt that she wanted my opinion on her work. I never felt invited to give her my opinion on her work. And I am the sort of person who, if asked my opinion on anything, will give it absolutely and bluntly. but never give it when I'm not asked, unless there's somebody standing on my toe. I'm not going to give them I'm not going to volunteer my opinion. So we were friendly, and I certainly have no reason to dislike her personally, and I don't dislike her personally. I've never had any.
If you don't dislike her personally, why are you vaguely accusing her of racism? Right? And of course he's going to say here, oh, I'm not accusing her of racism. Well, why'd you bring it up then if you weren't going to accuse her of racism?
Meeting with her where I walked away feeling, wow, I don't like that person.
I feel like he's like just planting seeds to where he doesn't have to accuse her of racism, but all of his viewers will.
Any meeting with her where I walked away feeling, wow, I don't like that person. It just didn't happen. And in fact, I felt a small investment in her because, as I have bragged repeatedly of any number of people, I have a weird knack for spotting broadcast talent. I grew up, my father was a famous broadcaster, and so I just know it when I see it. I knew it when I saw it in Ben. I knew it when I saw it in Knowles, that little bit of broadcast talent that he has. I spotted Candace when she was on a small YouTube station doing Brexit stuff. Blacks should get out of the Democrat Party stuff. I invited her on my show back when we were in the first office we had in LA, I believe. I had her on my show. She left. I walked down the hall to Jeremy's office. That was back before he had the throne room with the guys with the spears and all that stuff. And I walked down the hall and I said, if you want to bring a woman into this operation, I just met her because that's one of the most talented broadcasters I have ever met. And I would say it then and I would say it now. She is and remains an amazing talent, a person who radiates star quality and someone who just understands what the mic and the camera are all about in ways that I don't come close to. And I just truly admire and still admire what the amazing talent that she has. And by the way, Jeremy did not hire her when I said so. He may regret that because it cost him, a lot of money to wait, but still, I understood what she was the minute I saw her. I was on her show once or twice at the beginning, but I never listened to it. And the reason I never listened to it was because of all the stuff that I felt was silly. I mean, some of the stuff I felt I knew what she was going to say, which was the Brexit stuff, which I'm all in favor of. But the stuff about the moon landing being fixed, rigged, and 9/11 being...
Okay, this is actually a fair point. She's kind of a conspiracy theorist. Isn't she saying that like Emmanuel Macron's like wife is like a man or something? Which like the questions that she's asking are actually interesting. Like if you look into it, it's like, why aren't there pictures of Macron's wife? Why aren't there pictures of Macron's wife like as a child, a teenager, a young adult? Why do we only have these more recent pictures of her as she's interacting with Emmanuel Macron? She claims she has a sister. Why aren't there pictures of her standing and spending time with her sister? Those types of things. But at the end of the day, like if there's no solid proof that the person is the person is actually a man, then it is a baseless conspiracy theory founded by just plain interesting questions. And you have to be comfortable with admitting that's a conspiracy theory. I think that Candace Owens, conversely said that she would stake her entire professional reputation or something on Emmanuel Macron's wife indeed being a man. It's a stupid thing to say. So I mean, Andrew Klavan does have a good point where, I think like many conspiracy theorists or people who say kind of like outrageous things, I think actually Quantros, who is like a former Destiny orbiter, is a really good example of this. People who say like off the wall crazy things, even though they say things that are like reasonable at times or things that make sense to some degree, at the end of the day, they are still always going to be relatively untethered from reality. I think that that's probably what Andrew Klavan's going to point to here.
An inside job she would hint at, and recently there was Mrs. Macron, the First Lady of France, is a man, and all that. It's silly stuff, and the reason it's silly stuff is one, it's not true. It's the amount of conspiracy it would take to fake the moon.
I mean, some things there could be true, like the whole 9/11 stuff, like that could be true. but I don't know that there's concrete evidence. Like, conspiracy theories are interesting. Conspiracy theories are fascinating, but I think the problem is first of all, people spend too much time thinking about them. They're not as important as the conspiracy theorists would make you think, right? How much does it change of my life today on, March 26th of 2024 if the terrorist attack on 9/11 was an inside job? What does that matter to me? It doesn't. Let's be honest. but another thing too is like, you can even believe in a conspiracy theory while admitting that there's not proof for it. And I think that's a very important distinction, right? All kinds of questions like, oh, what about Building 7? All this stuff. Like, it's fine. It's fine to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. In fact, if you're not allowed to ask questions, that's a sign you're in a cult, my friend. But at the same time, you can't pretend that a lack of answers to your questions is an answer to a different question. And I think that's the problem with Candace Owens and a lot of other people. This is mostly like people online that you'll find, like the QAnon conspiracy theorists and all those folks. It's more of a plague with them, but it's like, it's fine to indulge in conspiracy theory. Like, as a matter of fact, I would actually encourage you to a degree, because not all conspiracy theories are false. But you can't assume that every conspiracy theory you have is true just because it sounds interesting or relatively compelling.
Landing with nobody saying that it was fake is insane, and everything that sounds like science about it is ridiculous. It's not true. None of those things is true. 9/11 wasn't an inside job. The moon landing wasn't fake. Mrs. Macron has a daughter who looks just like her. She's not a man. But if they were true, Candace wouldn't know, and I wouldn't know, because we don't have that kind of inside information. I don't care what people tell you. That's not the kind of thing that you know unless you are a top investigative reporter and can come up with the documents and show and prove the truth. But that's all that stuff is show business to me, That's what she did. She has this enormous talent. That's her gift. She has a right to decide how to use it. None of my business. She has a huge audience.
Well, look, let's be honest, though. I think that here he's actually being soft on Candace Owens, because if you're misleading your audience, that's serious, especially if it's especially if you are in a position where people believe what you say and they in fact, are using you as a source of news and information, and you're not doing a caveat of, I could be wrong. That's the exact opposite of what Candace Owens did with the case of Emmanuel Macron's wife. So to be like, oh, it's just show business. It's what she does. It's how she gets such a big audience. It doesn't matter. I don't care how big your audience is. I don't care how talented you are. If you're lying to your audience and misleading them, no matter how well-intentioned you are, you should be called out about it. Why do you think that right-wingers whine and complain about the mainstream media? It's not always because they say bad things about us. It's in large part because in many cases, they are intentionally deceiving viewers when it comes to figures like Donald Trump, for example, right? Like calling him racist when there's not really any evidence that he's racist. That's I think the most obvious clear example. The other one is like the whole January 6th was an insurrection thing. It's another lie that the mainstream media has pushed before. Ties between Trump and Russia. Like there are other things that you can find, right, where the mainstream media has lied about things, likely intentionally, to the American people, misleading them. And that is something that the right, will take the mainstream media to task for. Why is Andrew Klavan saying it doesn't matter if Candace Owens is pushing conspiracy theories as long as she's, having fun and getting a big audience with it? That doesn't make sense to me.
Still, and so I guess they like that stuff. It's nothing to me. It just doesn't mean anything to me. It's not the sort of thing I listen to. But that's the way she wanted to go with her talent. That's a choice that each person makes on his own or her own.
I would agree. The decision to lie or to not lie is a decision that everyone makes on their own.
And I am not privy in any way, shape, or form to her thinking. Then the Jew stuff started. And here's what I want to say about this. And this is pretty much what I have to talk about, because I don't want to attack her personally. I don't know what's on.
Here's the part where he calls Candace Owens anti-Semite, I suppose.
On her mind and why she went down this road. Like I said, I just don't know her that well. The left has made bigotry and hatred valuable by calling us bigots and calling us hateful when we tell the simple truth. So I say, there's high crime in black neighborhoods, and the high crime is not because of slavery, it is because of fatherlessness, and it's because of a culture that's going on in certain black neighborhoods that is increasing. And the left says, oh, you're a racist. You're canceled. You stink, Somebody says homosexuality is against my religion. No, you can't host the Oscars. You're out of work. I'm called to HR. A man can't become a woman. Oh, my God, you have phobia. That's a phobia to say a man can't become a woman. So,
so if he's going to accuse Candace Owens of being a racist, isn't he basically doing the same thing where it's like, oh, like Candace Owens says, oh, Israel's committed war crimes. Andrew Klavan, no! You must be anti-Semitic. You must hate the Jews. You must be excoriated from our social group. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? This dude is condemning himself and he doesn't even know it.
Left has used the accusation of hatred and racism, bigotry and phobia to keep us from speaking the truth, which means...
I mean, yeah, maybe the Daily Wire is keeping Candace Owens from speaking the truth about war crimes that the IDF is perpetrating. Well, I don't know if is perpetrating. The incidents of war crimes, from what I've understood, are not particularly common, but they do happen here or there, and they're still serious. So maybe not all the time or currently perpetrating is the right way to put this. I do want to add that caveat there.
That when somebody comes along and says something that makes the left go crazy, it sounds like the truth.
Huh? Dude bolted without making a single point. That doesn't make any sense, man. That was dumb, dude. So the dude over here says that Candace Owens is a great content creator, gives a veiled hint that she's a racist, and then says, you know what? The left sure does make a commodity out of hatred, don't they? And then bolts with some whimsical musical tune. What did I just watch? I feel like I wasted my time. This dude, you could have just given me the cliff notes that Andrew Klavan just called Candace Owens a talented person, but she's anti-Semitic, and called it a day. What was that? He didn't even give an example or reason why he thinks that Candace Owens is anti-Semitic. Now, spoiler alert, she's actually not anti-Semitic because she criticized Israel. But this is so weird and strange. Are we just gonna get this frog march of all of the content creators from the Daily Wire just calling Candace Owens a racist now? Is this the line that's that we're going to see? And if so, this is disgraceful. It's already disgraceful enough, right? That Andrew Klavan has stooped to the level of calling Candace Owens a racist, essentially. But if this just becomes the narrative of the Daily Wire, this is the type of thing I could see taking down the entire network. Candace Owens already, I think, a second to, of course, Ben Shapiro, I think was kind of vying for that number 2 spot of the most, the most popular or most successful content creator on the Daily Wire network. I think that, I do think that Brett Cooper is kind of close to making it to that top spot. She's certainly at that top spot now, but generally, Andrew Klavan doesn't get the type of views that Candace Owens gets. What's the name of the guy who made Matt Walsh? Matt Walsh doesn't get the types of views that Candace Owens gets. Candace Owens was one of the top people at the Daily Wire. And so for them to get rid of this incredibly popular person and then accuse her of racism without any basis is really going to turn off a lot of conservative voters, viewers. Even if they give some sort of fake reason why they're calling her a racist, then at least they could be like, oh, well, I could kind of see where you're coming from, to a certain extent. But now it's just out of thin air. Oh, the Jew stuff, without explaining what the Jew stuff is, of course, because if he tried to do that, then he wouldn't be able to make his case at all. I mean, to be fair, he didn't make his case here either. That was garbage. That to be fair, most of my respect for the Daily Wire had gone down the drain with the whole Stop Big Con thing, where they were like kind of like lying about Steven Crowder, and they gave him a raw deal and then lied about that too and all that stuff. So that is the Daily Wire being classless is not anything new to me. But them doing it just in the open so brazenly versus like behind the scenes, behind closed doors, in conversations with Steven Crowder on the phone, this is just marking a descent for Daily Wire. Now, maybe the Daily Wire Plus with their original content is going to be their saving grace. Actually, that would not shock me, right? Because it does look like they have some interesting programs down the pipeline. But this just is bad. It's just awful. And when you've already lost my respect because you lied about the deal that you made with another content creator, this is just not helping your case. And I think this is how a lot of people are going to start looking at the Daily Wire too. Now, of course, the Daily Wire is going to be in their own bubble. They're going to act like there's no problem at all. They're going to act like things are just business as usual. Eventually, things will just blow over, but that's not going to be the case. I think their audience is going to have an entirely different reaction. And while they continue to act like nothing happened, I think the impact of this move of getting rid of Candace Owens because she's not as staunch of a Zionist as Ben Shapiro is, who of course Candace Owens isn't going to be. Like, it wouldn't necessarily make sense because, Ben Shapiro has ties to Israel, grew up in Israel, whatever. So like Candace Owens said, she said he is going to be more sensitive to the plight of the Israelis and probably more forgiving of what Israel has done in Gaza as well. This whole thing is like ridiculous, but I'm low-key looking forward to just this like descent, decline, and implosion of the Daily Wire, which seems to be relatively imminent, at least as a leader in right-wing commentary, because I think it's deserved. I generally found it to be just like moderate conservatism, not particularly interesting, not particularly thought-provoking. If you're not watching any content at all and you're watching the Daily Wire, are you getting bad content? Not necessarily, but in the same sense that like you're not getting bad content if you're watching Fox News, or like you're not getting bad content if you're watching like MSNBC reports or something. Like, is it awful? Not really, but it's not like gonna be like the best source of like punditry, analysis, that type of thing. So we'll see what happens. Probably in a very delicious way as the entire internet eats the Daily Wire alive, as well they should, for the classless way that they and their content creators have been behaving lately. All right. Stan here in the chat said true. Yes, I agree. Thank you. Thanks for sending in that message in the chat, man. We've got this fun video here from Love Hilal called The Problem with the Black Community. So let's see how bad black people are.
Now, before you guys jump me, lay it all over me, I'm definitely not a raccoon for the title of this video. See, one day waves became popular and everyone was dying to get the cleanest 360s. I'm talking spinning harder than a Beyblade. You couldn't walk too much.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay. To clarify here, so this video is going to be black culture. I do need to make a clarification. I am not black. I am white because I have voted Republican in my past. So, put that all in, keep that all in perspective as I react to this video.
Meters with a do-rag on without some Timmy in the high school hallway yelling out, "Wave check." And if you weren't spinning, you're cooked. Waves were so poppin', they even turned it into a meme. They gave Donald Trump waves. They gave Barack Obama waves. Hell, they even gave it to Buzz Lightyear. Now in the present, not too much has changed. It's the year 2024 and we have a new meme, and it's known as the ad dreads. Now let me elaborate. Ever since dreads became a trend, a new joke called the ad dreads came about.
Fried chicken skin ass dreads, popcorn ceiling ass dreads, doodle ass dreads.
I don't know what
dreadful ass.
that's like. That's a rainforest dread. I don't know what. How would you describe it? That's a lettuce leaf dread.
Dreads, Raisin Bran ass dreads.
And I can't even lie, Raisin Bran's a top 5 cereal.
the burnt Cheeto dreads, I guess.
What is he shaking? Just wait till I grow up. Oh, nah. Add dreads.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. Add dreads.
Before add dreads. Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you. These are pretty funny. But then I realized we can't have nothing. See, back in the day, we had a cut called the high top fade. Will Smith had it, Tupac had it, even I had it. But if you get that same cut in 2024, you're getting roasted into the oblivion for having a sky top fade. Now, this right here is a textbook sky top fade.
That's not a textbook sky top fade. What are you talking about? Unless you're talking about like the fade itself, not like the shape of the cut. But like, bro, there's nothing standard about this haircut. What?
This area right here alone, nothing else, everything is the baldy. If you get this cut, you unlock a whole new set of attributes. The comments will be spammed with restart, bro's finished, sky top dread. Let me not even target a specific group of people. Straight haired folk have had McDonald's hairline since the beginning of history. But as soon as an African American male doesn't have the crispiest Travis Kelce cut, along with the smoothest Paul George, Jalen Rose hairline, people will flock to you. Look at your hairline, bro. Black people are soon gonna run out of hairstyles.
Maybe it's you because you had got like 300,000 views on this video. And so you have a lot of eyes on you. So a lot of people are going to criticize you. I've never had a single person clown on me for my hair. I've had white people ask me if they can touch it, but I've never had people clowning on me for my hair.
All right. Whenever you rock an afro, too nappy. What are you gonna do with your hair? What are you gonna do with your hair? It's already done. What do you mean? But if you don't want the large afro and you get a short one, they call you the Smash Bros cut. They call you the Weeb Warrior, Anime Lover 3000, and they'll say you
but to be fair, also like this is the product of like roast humor culture, because there's like a whole a group of people now on the internet who can't make a joke without insulting somebody else. That's like the only joke that they know. Ha ha, somebody else bad, laugh at them. Making someone laugh at somebody else is not the same as telling a joke. But I think there are a lot of people who just don't understand that. And I think that's the type of people who are making these memes, right? Like if you walk into a 7-Eleven in a random black hood and you go in there with like a sky top fade, you're not gonna hear like people like chortling and laughing at you while you're standing in line. Like it's not the real life. This is how the internet works.
Too mad. We low-key be getting flamed for just being here. Now, not only do our hairstyles get roasted, we're just included in memes for no reason. Like, I know you guys remember the 4 meme. Let's be real, he's just doing a pose. Or the sheesh. How did that turn into a joke? When D'Angelo...
Not y'all calling SpongeBob black now. Hold on.
Remember the 4 meme? Let's be real. He's just doing a pose. Or the sheesh. How did that turn into a joke? When D'Angelo Russell first did that after he hit a 3-pointer for the win, that shit was cold to me. I'm not being soft. I'm not being a victim. I'm just telling it like it is. Nowadays on TikTok, they allow blatant racism. Have you heard of the well trend? POV basketball people. What is that supposed to mean, dude? Yeah. And then we look at the comments. Let me just slide over just a little bit right here. Well. Look. Damn. When does it end? Oh my God. It actually does not end. It actually doesn't end. But surely. It's just.
I will say veiled racism does really well on social media, especially social media run by Facebook. Like Facebook. No, social media run by Meta, social media run by Instagram. Bro, the amount of people that I've seen post like racist comments on like right-wingers' Instagram pages is absolutely insane, especially considering the fact that I know for a fact that the people posting the content are not racist. But it's like, 13% of the population. Oh, it's another one. Why is it always these types of people? I wonder why that person decided to be violent. Always. But it's because it's vague enough to where like you can be like, oh, well, I didn't say it was black people. I didn't say that it was the ethnicity that caused it. Generally speaking, because of those types of nuances and the language, that type of language ends up being allowed to slide.
Just this video, right? We're gonna press this arrow and see what pops up. Oh. I was gonna say, we all know what you're doing. You're trying to be sneaky, but at this point, they're not even trying to be sneaky no more. What did we do to make them niggas that mad? So for today's agenda, why black people are the joke. So let's take a deep dive into black Twitter. And I want to start us off by saying all black podcasts should be abolished. Now, podcasts are made to be entertaining, give us...
Wait, say that. Wait. You're going to complain about racism against black people, and then you're gonna say that all black podcasts should be abolished? Hold up. Let me see what you actually mean by that.
By saying all black podcasts should be abolished. Now, podcasts are made to be entertaining, give us some insight, think a little deeper. Let's see what we can learn from this.
Some of you niggas get so comfortable you start farting around your.
Okay, I know what you mean. Dude, the Black Hebrew Israelite Instagram reels that I've seen are like off the hook. Off the hook. Like, I have seen like Black Hebrew Israelites, Black Muslims, people say the most out of pocket stuff about women and stuff. Some of the most sexist things, even at some points, the most racist things that like I've seen on Instagram has come from that community. Like Umar Johnson, for example, Dr. Umar, whatever his name is. It's a great example of this. This racist dude has been going viral. And he is one of the most racist people that you will ever see not get banned on YouTube. Right? Because he's literally running around right now telling people that they should not have intimate relations with people who are outside of their own genetic group. I don't even know how to describe it because people are so mixed now. But like there's no such thing as a pure white person or a pure black person. So I don't even know how to categorize what it is that he's arguing. But this dude is insane and he is spouting blatant racism. That's literally like, you know how like Andrew Tate's thing was like, be an alpha male. Umar's thing right now is, don't sleep with a white chick. Literally, it's lame. It's insane. But the thing about it though is that because they're black, they could get away with the racism. But anyways, I don't know if this is actually the point that he's making. I just got stun locked there.
Inside, think a little deeper. Let's see what we can learn from this.
Some of you niggas get so comfortable you start farting around your woman. You bugging. Now she looking at you like a regular degular nigga. I don't do none of that type of shit around my bitch. I'm not taking no shits around my woman. I'm not farting around my woman because I'm not getting too comfortable. She gotta see me as excellence. A woman can never say she smelled my fart. Never in life.
I gotta stop that.
Yo. This is funny. Okay, I will say that there's a lot of like entertainment value in these types of podcasts because this is hilarious. But the problem is you have like 12-year-old tween boys like browsing TikTok and then thinking that this guy looks like a tough dude with this flashy gold chain and his like extravagant I'm trying so hard diamonds encrusted watch. It sucks too because I know that this is hilarious, but people are taking it too seriously. He's probably taking himself too seriously too.
What are we talking about? What was the prompt? I'm not trying to be that guy. Can we talk about the political and economic state of the world? There are real issues. Can we please talk about how to fix the NBA All-Star game? Because that shit was ass. These podcasts are always speaking about relationship hypothetical issues that do not matter, that rarely happen. Fellas.
Okay, to be fair, relationships is a more important topic than the NBA Finals or the NBA All-Star Game. So I'm not going to be mad at someone for spending more time talking about relationships than talking about an NBA game. But at the same time, if you're spouting nonsense, if you're just talking out your neck, then you might as well just be talking about an NBA game because at least you're not leading people astray. Right? Relationships are things everyone has, whether romantic or otherwise. And so if you are influencing people and you're saying things about relationships that are unhealthy or incorrect, then what that's going to end up doing is probably causing that person to go and interact in those types of relationships in incorrect ways. That's harmful. That's dangerous. Giving bad analysis about an NBA game is not dangerous. It's not. Unless your audience bets. By that point, like, bro, stop betting.
If she hugs a dude, how many bodies is that?
Look at me. Y'all see how I look right now? This man that brought me on a date to Shake Shack.
What's wrong with Shake Shack? Hey, Shake Shack low-key got top 10 burgers on the planet.
I mean,
not gonna lie, low-key, I will say these types of like reels and TikToks or whatever, I'm actually low-key collecting some of those spots and be like, you know what? Here's a little trial if I'm ever dating somebody. I'm gonna take the person to like a Shake Shack, not a McDonald's, because that's ghetto. But like, I'm gonna take this person to like a Shake Shack or like a Starbucks, and if they're fine with me not taking you to like a 5-star restaurant and take you to a place that's like more affordable, then hey, big W, green flag, right? So I do find these TikToks helpful in some way.
This what you got me. That's it.
would have loved to go to. I see 2 burgers. You're actually eating pretty good. Maybe.
Yo, bro, 2 burgers? That's an absolute W. Bro, I'd go out to eat on a date with someone if they were going to buy me 2 burgers. Sign me up.
A little bit too good. You might want to watch that. You won't hear a word out of me, let alone take my camera out like, look where this man brought me, y'all. He brought me to Shake Shack. There was a clip that went viral the other day of a rapper taking some dude's girl on stage, giving her that Alicia Keys Usher halftime performance type of treatment, if you know what I'm saying.
Bro, I hate when this happens. And it's annoying that like the artists will let them do that. Like, what is it? Kevin Gates is like the most notorious person to do that. But at the same time, bro, the woman is the one who's running around gallivanting on the stage, right? They do this willingly. So it's like, it's just bad looks all around.
Saying.
Wait, this is actually Kevin Gates, I think, right? This is probably Kevin Gates.
She's not your girl no more. In front of the whole audience, that's got to be equivalent to like...
Bro, no, that was bad. I'm going to need to edit that out in the video.
17,346 bodies.
Oh,
is that the boyfriend right here? Credit to him, though, because this is a top 5 crash out moment of all time.
Yeah.
Public humiliation is no joke. Now, changing the topic a little bit, I wanted to talk about the consequences of the N-word compared to other slurs. When the streamer gets banned for N-word usage, they're usually right back to it. Let's talk
about this. You know, I don't understand. Because look, let's be honest. The N-word is a slur, and you know, I may appear to be black, but remember, I voted Republican, so I can't be black. I'm white. But most people would consider me to be a black man. Well, despite all of this, I'm not going to run around using the N-word. And the reason why is, first of all, it's profanity. I try not to use profanity. Second of all, it's a slur, right? Many people find it offensive, but also, you know, black people as a people group have generally been mad at white people for using the N-word. But that's something a lot of black people actually do. I'm not going to take any black person who complains about white people using the N-word seriously unless they're willing to stop using the N-word. Case closed, right? It's like a murderer being mad that another murderer went and killed people. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense at all. And another thing that annoys me too is like you've got the C word running around. You got a lot of black people running around using the C word with no repercussions. Now I completely understand white people not being offended by the use of that word. But what I don't understand is why black people feel like they can use the word and it's completely okay, while also getting mad at white people for using the N-word. Because it is about as equivalent slur as you can get when it comes to what a white person can say to what a black person can say to a white person in response to what a white person can say to a black person as far as slurs are concerned. So like using slurs and derogatory language like that it's whack. It's ridiculous. And I think that like most people should have a better grasp of the English language than to resort to using derogatory terms rather than just referring to people by the actual attributes that apply to them as a person. Not as a descriptor. Like you like don't be so base as to always fall back on calling someone by like what they look like or their appearance, especially if it's an immutable attribute. And I do understand that to some degree, even with race, the attributes aren't necessarily mutable. Like, look what happened to Michael Jackson. But okay. But in general, these are not the types of things that you should be making fun of or spending ridiculous amounts of time pointing out. It's just classless. It doesn't make sense.
Week and a half and Twitch seems to forget about it. But God forbid, if you say the F slur on Twitch, you may never see the light of day ever again. The streamer known as Mizkif saying the N-word.
I completely forgot about the F slur. There's that too. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
uses the word in the hard R.
See, but that's the thing. I am not Moxie. I am not one for second chances when it comes. Fuck.
Now with the N-word hard R usage, you would think permaban is justified.
I will say if you're quoting somebody else, it's entirely different, and music is quoting someone. So I'm not going to fault someone for using a slur if they're quoting somebody else. Like, you know, it is what it is. And let's be honest, right? People act like using the slur is always like racist, when it's not always racist. The problem with using the slur isn't necessarily like racism. The problem is that like you are perpetuating the use of derogatory and archaic language that really should be out of fashion at this point. So to me, it's more about getting that language out of people's vocabulary than it is like, oh, you're a racist because you use the N-word. You know what I mean?
Oh, would you look at that? He's actually live right now. Apparently Ninja has an entire YouTube compilation of him saying the word.
No one likes that nigger.
I like
the double pump move. It's being nerfed dying because.
An entire YouTube compilation of you saying the N-word hard R is
That's
pretty crazy.
insane,
Usually it's a 1-time, 2-time slip up max. Speaking of YouTube, a lot of the videos on Black YouTube are a little bit concerning. We got serving my girlfriend breakfast while wearing no clothes. Picking up my pregnant girlfriend with no pants on to see her reaction. Can I smash prank? Gone sexual. Let's do it right now prank on Crush. You can't forget the infamous Zam She's 12 thumbnail. Now let's take a look at just one of these prank videos. Where's the hand going, bro? Yeah, we see that hand, bro. That's straight up softcore pornography, bro.
Hey, baby.
No.
This is literally harassment, straight up.
No, I will say though, you can't pin this all on just black people, because I literally saw like an IG reel like today of some dude like in a similar scenario like this, forcibly kissing a woman who was going the opposite direction on an escalator, and that dude was white. Now, to be fair, it was pretty obvious, I think, that the video was staged based on the girl's reactions. But like, bro, I feel like you're targeting black people when like this is not just a black thing. Now, to be fair, I don't spend my time around like the Kais and that end of YouTube. Not saying that I don't watch black content creators, but I don't watch like the types of like challenge, prank, like the Jubilee-esque videos that like Kais and that's content and IShowSpeed's content is kind of like dipped in towards at certain points of their careers. I don't watch that type of content. So I haven't like come across this style of video where I'm like, oh, I've seen plenty of white people do it. But this is not something I would assume that only black people do. So if you're making a video called like the problem with the black community, I don't understand why you're using this type of content when it's not clear that this is the type of content that like only black people do. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a dude.
Bro. Oh, you better run for your life. Come on, we need to see him get his ass beat. I ain't gonna lie. This is the good ending. I'm beginning to hope and give him the benefit of the doubt that the video was fake, because you might be a paraplegic after that. Now, moving on from YouTube to the very famous Chinese app called TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
We have a new trend of what we call gutter bunnies. You've heard of the term snow bunnies. You know, the white women who are into the British Broadcasting Company. Characteristics of a gutter bunny include wannabe ghetto, singing rap lyrics, specifically gangster rap, and just being white.
I'm like, what he trying to do? So I clutched my move, but he kept walking. He don't want no.
And they go viral for just singing the rap lyrics like everybody else.
Let's go. I just put the rest on top your bitch. I'm talking about 34.
We know you memorize this verse just for the video, and then you're gonna go back to listen to your Morgan Wallen.
Take a bitch and bite the builder. They know I like bodies. I catch bodies with the slime.
Like, why is she moving like that?
I don't know where to find them, but I need one. I need one ASAP.
Now that is the perfect segue into my next point. The reason why these gutter bunnies are so viral, so prolific, is because after they rap a 2-second verse, some random black dude in the comments gonna eat it up, talking about something, I need that. I need one of those. You must have not remembered the Central Park 5 and Emmett Till and the historical stuff, okay? You don't need any of that. But in all actuality...
That's the wildest reference he could have made at that particular moment. Oh my goodness. But yeah. Actually, Sean King has done this as well in a political sense. He's like a white dude who literally has pretended to be black. He's like he was like the blueprint for Rachel Dolezal. But like, yeah, like at the end of the day, like, I don't know. That I can't be too mad about unless you're grifting. Because like, yo, if your culture is so good that people are starting to appropriate it, I feel like that should be a point of pride rather than a reason to cry. Because like, hey, look at us. We're so good that the white people are copying us. Like,
you don't need any of that. But no,
like, bro, oh, you know, being black is so cool that white people want to do it now. Like, isn't like, I feel like that would be an accomplishment in civil rights in black history.
Historical stuff, okay? You don't need any of that. But in all actuality, white girls are the only people that I know who can go viral for just rapping the lyrics of a song. I could rap that exact same verse. Will I go viral? No, sir. I know.
Well, I mean, it's because they're attractive, and attractive girls just like go off on social media and they go viral. So like, it's not necessarily a thing of, oh, they're trying to pretend to be black and that's why they went viral. If they'd go just as viral if they were like, I don't know, repeating like the lyrics to like some like Taylor Swift song or Olivia Rodrigo song. So I don't know if it's just a race thing.
You guys have seen the trend of the white dude to be dancing to the African music, Oluwa Mark, and I forgot the other one's name.
It's because those are kind of funny.
Now, I'm not a hater. They be hitting that. But there's a reason why they're...
Not always. The reason why they're kind of funny, those videos are kind of funny to me, is that usually they either like can't dance that well, or like very clearly they like have some sort of like ballet background. And that just makes it funny to me. Now, otherwise, like I've seen a couple where they're really good at dancing. Like, oh, big ups. That looks good. But like otherwise, I'm like, yo, dude.
They're viral. And it's because they're white doing the dance. I'm gonna end it off with stupid ass rappers being a representation of us as a people. With headlines in the news like Fabio Foreign going broke after getting 30 million, Blueface and Krishan fighting, getting tattoos, and even Sexy Red being a role model to young children. Where are the adults? We need to stop glorifying this shit. They might not be saying the actual cuss words to the songs, but they're hearing it. Children are impressionable. I'm not blaming Sexy Red for making the music. She can make whatever music she wants. She's a fully grown adult. But kids should not be listening to that. And it doesn't take a child development major to figure that out. Last rapper we're gonna briefly talk about is Boosie, because Boosie always gives his 2 cents on different topics that we don't care to hear from him about. I don't know if he thinks he's Lil Durk, the voice of the streets. He's not the hood philosopher. He's really a Boondocks character at best in terms of opinions. Now, not to get too smart on y'all and use his 4.0 GPA, but unless we make a change to how black people are portrayed in mainstream media, we will pretty much always be seen as a caricature or comedic relief to every other race. Then again, we're pretty much damned if we do and damned if we don't, because we can be made fun of for just being here, like with the examples of like the hair. It's over for us, bro. It's just over. But that's gonna do it.
But I think it's actually a side effect, though. I think that if black people in general carry themselves with more class, then you wouldn't make fun of black people for this like being there. Like the Boondocks well meme is from a literal like comedic animated program. And there are also memes from Gumball. He literally pulled up a meme from SpongeBob. So if there's something that's like in a comedic context, it makes sense that this is going to be memed or whatever. But if like a lot of black people are running around like basically like acting a fool or being funny and making other people laugh or just being goofy, and it makes sense that people are going to take that person less seriously. And the less seriously that you take somebody, the more likely it is you're going to become a meme. Because like Joe Biden gets memed. Why is Joe Biden getting memed? It's not because people take him seriously. John Cena gets memed. Why is John Cena getting memed? It's not because people are taking him seriously. Same thing with The Rock. No one takes The Rock seriously. Most of the people who get memed, they're not taken seriously, usually. So I understand actually like how he's tying everything back towards like at the end. It makes a lot of sense. Like the blatant racism. If you're gonna be down with blatant racism, like as a black person, then it naturally makes sense that people are going to take you less seriously. This is actually like a good video. He did not explain throughout the video like how he would get to his conclusion or what exactly his conclusion is, but I actually kind of dig it. Like I'm always gonna get down for, you know, raising standards for yourself and like, you know, saying that you should better yourself rather than always, you know, making yourself be some sort of like laughing stock. I can get down with that sort of message. But anyways, I think it's gonna be all for today. So the stream actually is a little bit longer than I thought it was gonna be. I was planning on making it be a quick little stream, but it ended up not being a quick little stream at all. Actually, the sun went down during the course of the stream. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this stream up, but I do want to shout out the 2 people who sent messages into the chat today. Although, let's not diminish their contributions. They were allowed chat messages. First of all, Stan, thanks for popping into the chat. First time chatter. Nice to see you here. At least for the first time chatter from what I can remember. But also Merely. Nice to see you in the chat, man. He went out into the Discord and said that he was going to tune into the stream. He said he was going to tune into the stream while volunteering at school. And he tuned in. So I appreciate you tuning in like you said you would. Nice to see you here. Also, great reminder to everyone in the chat. If you're not in the Discord, go join the Discord. Because the Discord is, well, it's kind of chill. It's kind of quiet. We haven't really been saying much as of late. But I do send updates there on my content and stuff. I post like little things about like shows and movies and things because I'm a show and movie fan. I'm a fan of all that stuff. But also, you can send in requests for things things for me to react to. Send them into the React Requests channel, and then I will go ahead and react to it on the next stream if it is something that I deem to be reactable. But yeah. So yeah, join the Discord, links in the description below. Also, check out the Non-Newbie Highlights channel where I upload YouTube videos that are basically segments from my streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon. And yeah, other than that, if you get bored of all those, just check out the VODs on this very YouTube channel. And that's pretty much all I got. So peace out, y'all.
Picasso, oops, Picasso, you made my heart grow. A lesson I learned from the seed is it starts slow. Trust me, you gon' see the tree if you look close. Don't you know having faith is a substance of things that you don't see. But trust me, you gon' see the fruits of your labor. Trust in the king and my focus on laser. Walking in purpose, I'm blessing on favor. I tried to go fall in love with the paper. Till you show me love that will never work.